Hello, welcome to Health Talk. I'm Dr. Manny. It's not enough for professional athletes to be in top physical form. They must also be in top mental form, too. These athletes use mental skills to prepare and perform better than anyone in the world. So, how can you use the same skills to improve your own performance at work or at home? Here to tell us is elite sports psychologist Dr. Jonathan Fader. He's also the author, Life as Sport, What Top Athletes Teach You About How to Win in Life. Great book. I love the title, Life as Sport. Look at that. It's a beautiful, beautiful cover. So, Doc, you work with a lot of professional athletes. You work with a lot of celebrities and entertainers. What do you see? What is the common theme that a lot of these people have in regards to mental attitudes, mental challenges that they see every day?
Well, I mean, the common theme is when you're the best, which elite performers are, you're really competing against the best. And these professionals, whether they're performers or they're really in sports, they're looking for that edge. They're looking for the thing they can do to get better. And often that edge is how they train, they prepare mentally, how they train their thoughts and their behaviors to be ready for adversity or to compete. But
when, let's say you're in the top of your game, and you're working in all cylinders, sometimes you're sort of competing against yourself.
Oh, yes.
Because you say, how can I top this, or how can I maintain that?
Yes.
So have you seen that in some of the people that you have dealt with?
Absolutely. Manny, I love what you said, working on all cylinders. And that's what you see. Even at the top of the game, sometimes we're not working on all 6 or all 8. We're working on just a percentage of that. And what mental skills training is about, it's about making sure that you are working on all cylinders at all time. It's not about necessarily fixing a problem. It's about mental conditioning. It's like curls for your brain.
All right. So what led you to write this book?
It's interesting you asked that. What led me is a personal story that, for me, I work with elite performers in sports, in military settings, in first responders, in business. And what I realized is I actually would get bent out of shape sometimes when the people I was working with and coaching weren't, doing their best or getting the best results. And I realized that actually the techniques I teach people in performance psychology were helpful for me as a performance psychologist. They helped me to calm down and be in the moment in a big game when I was watching a competitor or when I was working with a top performer.
So your struggle, it sort of helped you deal with your own personal issues.
Absolutely. I saw it help so many people that I coached.
Right.
And it helped me to not focus on the results, but really focus on the process with these skills.
So how does anxiety, stressful, the stress that you get from that anxiety, how does it affect your performance? What does it do?
It's really interesting because there's so much research now that shows that actually stress isn't that bad if you react well to it. If you don't react well to it, it can have a host of problems, cardiac and otherwise.
Right.
But really, if you train yourself to be able to metabolize stress, we all have. Anxiety is just to make you alert. When you're anxious, it makes you ready for a situation. But if you let it get out of control, it can be really harmful. So we teach people how to proactively react to that stress. You have stress at work. You have stress at home. We all have stress.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are the techniques that you can use to be able to calm yourself down? The evidence-based ones, the science-based ones that can help you calm down, whether you're on the playing field or on a trading floor or at home with your kids.
And how do you deal with, let's say, a very successful individual, but they go through something that they did not expect? In other words, their next performance or the next something that they expected to do very well, they have a defeat. Some people react, they say, oh, I had a defeat. I'm not as good as I was before. I'm going to shy away and hide in some cave. How do you deal with those people?
The words you used are the not magic words. It's, I had a defeat. I'm terrible, right? And what we call that in our work is self-talk. It's how you message yourself.
Right.
So what I teach athletes and every performer to do is say, when something goes wrong, the first thing you ask yourself is, what can I learn from it?
Right.
What's the thing I can learn from this? And to train that.
And those are some of the mental tools you use in your book. One, again, self-talk. So talk to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I ask athletes and I ask performers, who's the most important person you talk to? What do they say? First they say, my husband, my wife, my dad, my mom, my coach. And I say, no, you. You are the most important person you're talking to. And the way that you message yourself, the way you talk to yourself, it shows what kind of person's going to show up, which you is going to show up in all these different performances. So we train people to give themselves messages. You can call them mantras, you can call them self-statements. But really watching the way that we talk to ourselves. When something goes wrong, are we talking really negatively to ourselves, or are we talking in an adaptive way? Not in a way that's false.
Right.
But what I say to people is, if not you, then who?
Right.
Right? So how are you talking to yourself?
Another thing that you mentioned in the book, which I guess has to do with dealing with stress or relaxation, is breathing exercises.
Yes. Yeah, so, what we learn from high performance, and this is true in military settings, it's true in working with firefighters, as much as it's true in sports and in other arenas, is that when we get anxious, our sympathetic nervous system sometimes kicks in. And we start to have that fight or flight, that arousal. It can happen on a minor level, or sometimes if you're watching a sports game, you see it happen on a big level, where someone really loses control. And so we teach people how to breathe in a very science-based way. By the way, you see this in yoga, you see this in other parts of life, but if you breathe correctly, diaphragmatic breathing about more or less 6 full inhalations per minute, inhalation-exhalation cycles, you're more likely to be relaxed and be ready to go. And when you see people get anxious, usually their breathing is not correct. And this happens, in a medical setting too. You see people come in, they think they're having a heart attack, really they're experiencing
hyperventilation.
Exactly. So teaching them to breathe correctly can be helpful.
Another tip that you have is building routines.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
The analogy I have for that is your messy desk. Now, you don't have a messy desk. You do a good job at keeping a clean desk here.
Right.
But most people have a messy desk in some way. And so our lives are messy desks. What we tend to do is we tend to avoid dealing with complex problems. A routine is a way to slowly chip away at the thing that you're scared of or that you really don't want to do. So for example, let's say your desk is messy. It's better to just have a 15-minute routine, a 10-minute routine. I'm just going to attack it a little bit. Similarly, a routine can help an athlete before they have adversity to do something, a breathing exercise, a looking at a focal point, can really help them to take their eyes off of the results and focus on the process, which is what we teach in performance psychology. You have no control over the results. The P&L, all that stuff, the score, you have control of what you do in the moment.
All right, let's do a little name dropping. Tell me about somebody that you have helped, that some of your techniques have kind of changed their lives a little bit for the positive?
Well, I can't tell you about the people I've actually worked with, but I can tell you in this book, in Life is Sport, I have some people who really contributed, who talk about what they do.
Their own personal experience.
Their own personal experience. And, I think, the big wave surfer Laird Hamilton contributes to this book. And one of the things that he tells is an interesting story where someone came up to him and said, listen, Laird, I want to work on my surfing. This guy surfs, Manny.
Yeah.
He surfs 60-foot waves.
Right.
They're bigger than, Fox News buildings.
Yeah.
60-foot waves this guy surfs.
Yeah.
And, people come and say, hey, I want to work on my surfing. Help me out because I suck. And he said, let's start right there. If you're telling yourself you suck,
then you're talking to yourself in a negative way. There you go. See, I'm learning.
He's got it.
He's got it. You got to pick up the book. All right, listen, great information. Where can people get more information on the book?
So Life is Sport's available on Amazon. You can get it in any bookstore, Barnes & Noble, wherever books are sold. And the book talks a lot about mental skills, but it also talks about enjoyment.
Right.
There's no result that's good enough unless you're enjoying it. So life satisfaction, also a big part of this book.
All right, well, listen, thank you. Great information, and pick up the book, especially if you want to beat that stress and challenge yourself even to a higher level. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
And if you have any health questions, tweet me at Dr. Manny on Fox. Until next time, I'm Dr. Manny.